Hi guys, and in this video I'm going to be installing this subwoofer on my Audi A3 8V. Alright, so first thing we need to do here is obviously place it in the boot. The way that this one works, the subwoofer on the Audi A3 8V chassis, is that it simply sits in the spare tyre well. You're going to need a new screw because the screw that's already in the car here holding down the spare wheel is not going to be long enough to come all the way up through here and work with the screw, so you're going to need a new one of those, but we can do the install regardless, and obviously you can get that at a later date. Okay, so dead center is the screw I'm talking about. You're going to need a longer one because obviously normally this is just there and then you put the little spinner here that goes on and it holds the tyre down, but obviously with this part going on you're going to need a longer one of these so that you can tie it down and secure it. But nonetheless we can still place the subwoofer on top of here, so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so the next thing we want to arrange, we want to try and arrange for the wiring to run from obviously this plug here to the front of the car so it can connect to the MMI. So yeah, let's go and get the wiring. Alright, some parts for the install that we're going to need. We're obviously going to need the plug, which is going to plug into the actual subwoofer, and then we're going to need the connector here, the wire that goes into the actual plug. Make sure again these are facing the right way, so it will be facing this way, not that way. It's going to be facing flat, so it will be the wider side up and the thinner sides at the sides. So next what you want to do is obviously you can see we've got the plug set up. You want to get a bit of wire, so quite a bit of wire actually, that's going to run from the boot section all the way down the side of the passenger side and into the glove box so I can connect it into the quad. So it's up to you how you want to do it, but just get as much as you can down the sides. Use your trim tool to pry up on these bits here, and obviously you want to try and get it underneath here all the way across and down the side there. Okay, so for reference purposes, if you hold the plug this way, so that's with the right end facing you, then the cable on the right is the negative and the cable on the left is the positive. So if you follow mine down all the way towards, say here, this cable, you can see I in fact have the black on that cable, and that is that cable there. So then the cable on the left is just a nice plain red cable. To be fair, what I should have done, I should have obviously got a black and a red cable, but it still works all the same, and obviously I know the install because it's my car. So obviously as you can see from here, I've now run the cable. Let me change the focus in. I've now run the cable from obviously here. It will get plugged in to this bad boy down here. I don't know if there's enough light. It's in the shadow, but literally that gets pushed in now. Click, job done. And these wires are going to have to run from underneath this boot shelf all the way down back into there. Alright, so very important when you're running a wire back to the front of the car is make sure you go over the top of this seatbelt area here. Obviously if you go underneath you're not going to be able to tuck it in, it's going to show, it's going to look quite messy. Okay, so once you get towards the front of the car, what you want to do is obviously get your trim tool removal tool, if you haven't got strong fingers, and literally just pop this area up here, and that's going to allow you to run the wire all the way towards the front. Be able to pop this area up as well, and that's going to allow you to be able to tuck this underneath. So again, be very strong but very gentle at the same time, making sure you're not snapping anything. Just lift up and it should pop all the way out. Alright, so as you can see here, I've taken off the entire panel that runs from here just to make it a bit tidier. If you've got Velcro tape or cloth tape or whatever it's called, I'd highly advise to use some so that way you can tape it to the edges here, and that way once you put the glove box back you'll be able to make sure the wire can run all the way along here. Let's get in focus. All the way along here, all the way up here into this area here as well, and then all the way to the front and then to the back of the MMI. That's going to come through the quad lock here. Nice and clipped in. Ensure that there's clips. There's a few clips on these sides. So on this side, on the underneath, there's a few clips that need to be put in first, and then push, and then make sure obviously your rubber bit goes on top all the way up to the top. Make sure everything's back to how you got it. And then finally, as you can see in here, that is the final bit of the jigsaw. The wires are now come through into the back of the glove box. What you want to do is pull your quad lock off. As you can see here, I've melted mine because obviously I made this stupid mistake. It's irrelevant, but in short, on yours there'll be some pins. All you need to do is get your two wires, the two wires that you should have from your subwoofer. Obviously one of them will be red and one of them will be black, which is obviously the positive and negative, and plug them in according to this diagram that I'll show you now. This is the wire you need to buy. It's double-ended, so it will come with two of these on each end. Snip it in half. One's going to connect to your positive wire and one's going to connect to your negative wire, and then push it through the back of the quad lock using the image display. Alright, so in regards to pushing the pins through, which is the best method, what you want to do is, using this diagram here, this picture here, the side closest to the yellow block on the right is your positive. So your positive wire wants to go in the top subwoofer pin, so that's the one towards the right. So if you're counting from the left, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and obviously if you're counting from the left, 1, 2, 3 is the negative. Push those through, plug it in, happy days. So obviously you want to make sure you push the pins through the back. The reason why my one was melted is because I didn't buy the pins, and then I thought I could just use some spade connectors to simply push it through. So I melted that area, put the spade connectors, but they were all touching. So in the end, I went down to Halford. So if you can't get them from Audi, you can get this from Halford. So this is the part you can get from Halford's PC308. It would be better to use the official Audi parts, but obviously I didn't, because obviously I messed up. I make the mistake, so you don't have to. Simply snap the plug, use the pins as shown, and I simply push them directly onto the back of the MMI unit. You won't have to. Simply use those pins shown to push through the back of the quad lock. Make sure it's all correctly put in, and happy days.